Much, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and thank you for coming to be with us today. And I would love to greet the Namibian nation at this terrible time in our democratic process. And this evening, I'm addressing you as our nation faces a moment, a real moment of great uncertainty. And this has been taking place over the past 3 days. And we know that of the unknown total of ballots cast between the 27th of November and the 30th of November today, only about 160,000 votes cast are known, and and they have been counted, we understand, and they've been released. But thousands of ballots remain unlocked, rather locked away somewhere in areas that we don't know. Their fate is also not known. And while the polling agents across the country awaits orders from their superiors in Windhoek as to what to do, at the moment we are not quite sure what is taking place. Now, there are also polling stations, as you may have learned, that are designated for the so-called extended polling days, which is not only shrouded in illegitimacy, it's also something that is not constitutional. And for the first time in the history of Namibian electoral process, and perhaps electoral processes in general, we have got two concurrent events taking place, both the counting and the casting of ballots at the same time. And also the reports that we are getting from many of our agents around the country suggest that we've got a very serious problem in our electoral process. The process itself is marred by a multitude of irregularities, widespread disenfranchisement of our citizens, with voters who have been turned away over the past 3 days during that process of election itself from the 27th, and also as a result of lack of ballot papers, notwithstanding the printing thereof, in quantities that is proportional to the number of people that are registered as voters. There is suppression of the voters deliberately to make sure that our citizens are not able to cast their votes, and as a consequence thereof, we are my apologies for that. That phone has been ringing all day. As a consequence of that, people who are yearning for a change in this country has not been given their democratic right to be able to raise their voice. And we are absolutely concerned about that. And this is a disregard by the ECN and the authorities that may be of the constitutional tenets of our Namibian Republic and Constitution, and that of the Electoral Act as well. And in the light of all these grave irregularities that has been reported by our legitimately registered representatives in various of the polling stations, we as IPC and the IPC leadership have reached an unshakable principled decision to make a statement to the press and to the nation at large that we are people that believes in the rule of law, and we are principled in that regard. The IPC will not and shall not recognize the outcome of these elections, whether this outcome signals a win for the presidential candidate of the IPC, whether a win for the parliamentary seats of the IPC, whether they suggest a runoff because of the outcome. The IPC recognizes that our principled rule of law shall triumph, and we shall not, under any circumstances, recognize the outcome of the 2024 on the 27th of November that is still, in our opinion, illegitimately continuing. And as a consequence of that, I'm quite sure the members of the public will understand that the electoral malpractices are glaring and undeniable, and everyone is able to see what has been taking place. Even people that don't understand the principles of law are aware that what is taking place in this country is unacceptable by all international, regional, continental, and local standards. As IPC, we stand firm in our resolve to fight alongside other political parties that feel the same and are able to travel on the same vehicle to nullify the elections through the processes that are established within our electoral process, to ensure that the Namibian people will once again be given an opportunity in order to exercise their democratic right to choose the leaders that they seek to govern over them, and not to have people who are refusing to lift themselves up in order to vacate the seat of authority, and for the Namibian people to place those that they choose to do so. We therefore call upon all the Namibian people to stand firm, to be calm, to be collected, to analyze, and to be cautious about propaganda material that may be floating in the social media. And we hope that we shall be informing the Namibian people in not too far a distant future what relevant actions we shall be taking in order to ensure that the dignity of this nation, the integrity of our people is restored. And that is the message to the public today, that the IPC shall not, under any circumstances whatsoever, recognize the outcome of the 2024 elections in the presidential candidacy and in the parliamentary candidacy, whatever the nature of those outcomes, on the principal stand of the rule of law has been grossly violated, and we cannot call these elections by any means or measure as free, fair, and legitimate in any form whatsoever. And I just wanted to make absolutely clear and unequivocally, categorically clear that the IPC will stand firm in its principle of rule of law, and we will seek and once again call upon the authorities to self-introspect and to self-recognize their error, and to save the Namibians the agony of waiting, and call themselves the elections flawed, marred by irregularities, and call for another electoral process to commence anew while there is still time. Because there is a danger, if we don't act very quickly, that there will be a constitutional crisis in our republic as we get very close to the 21st of March, without the nation having been given an opportunity to decide who shall lead them in the next calendar of 5 years. Should we reach that time by February or March without a clear result of who shall be the president of this republic and which party shall lead the government of the Republic of Namibia, we will face an unprecedented constitutional crisis that will be very difficult to resolve. So I call upon the leaders of the SWAPO party, the leaders of all other political parties that are standing together with the IPC, and above all, the President of the Republic of Namibia, to show leadership and to show his adherence to the constitutional tenets and communicate with the ECN so that we can avert this crisis sooner than later. To entertain one or two questions in that regard covering this aspect. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for some of the people that came a little bit delayed.